By the time I was 16, I was the fastest kid in the world.
Dwayne Chambers, 6.42. Only 2 men have ever run faster in history.
I've always been given the rules, but never given the tools. I realized I needed help because I was becoming somebody I didn't like. I said I want to be the best in the world, and I left myself open to anybody coming at me.
Would you change anything, Dwayne? Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Prince Show. And I'm your host, Dr. Prince, OBE. And just for you, very special viewers, we got an awesome guest. The one and only on the planet, in the universe, a great individual, Dwayne Chambers.
Oh, look at that. I like that one. I like that one.
Beautiful, my man.
Oh, awesome.
So good to have you
Pleasure.
on board today, my man.
Pleasure.
As you know, it's about people's journeys. I want our viewers to be able to travel with you, get ringside seats, bruv, and just roll with you from when you're a little kid in your ends, going through your experiences, what's molded you, developed you as an individual, your mindset. So if we could start with just talking about, growing up in the ends, what ends you from, and, what was it like with your family and the impact that family had on you in building your character, bro?
Yes, so I was born in Archway, Islington. I was born in 1978, April 5th, 1978.
Anywhere near Islington Boys Club?
No.
Oh.
Where was that situated, actually?
Do you remember when the 41 bus comes down from
The Boys Club, the
boxing gym?
I went there.
Did you really?
I went there, and the guy said...
Too fast.
That for one. And he mentioned something about the fact that I was short-sighted. I had to do an eye test.
Really?
And to be fair, I don't think I liked getting hit in the face.
No doubt.
Yeah, I didn't like that very much.
No, I didn't like that, bro.
No, but you stuck at it a little bit longer than I did. I didn't like that much.
Yeah.
And I remember I went there and I enjoyed it because it got me out of the house.
Aha. So that means that you grew up in that household of that era where you weren't allowed out much.
Was not allowed out
It's
much.
not like these youths now.
No.
Where they're just in and out doing their thing.
Me not being allowed out was tough. Tough in the sense that sometimes 6-week holidays, my friends would be out every day and I had to sit in my room.
Serious, bruv.
And I reckon those summer holidays back then, the sun was out a hell of a lot longer than it is now.
When summer came, summer was summer, innit? Do you remember when it was spring and it was spring? Summer, autumn, and winter was winter.
Proper summer, sun out all the time. I only ever remember looking out my window and seeing it sunny and my friends were playing and giggling and laughing. And I'd be in my room.
Wow.
Reason being, because we were one of the very few black people in our estate.
Okay.
Having a strict stepfather, old-fashioned as hell, wasn't into any disruptions in the house or having people knock the door. He always made it very clear, now, but I bring the police on my yard, that type of dad.
Same as my dad, man.
So with that...
When did he come into your life?
As soon as I can remember.
Okay.
I very rarely saw my dad. Don't know why, just didn't see him much. And when he did come around, it was like the best thing.
Nice.
Because I know that was my dad. This guy wasn't my dad. No discredit to him. He was probably doing the best job he could as a stepfather, but he wasn't doing the best job. And I think for that generation, their ability to show caring was non-existent.
Very difficult.
Very difficult because they didn't get it.
Do you think that comes down from generational Jim Crow mindset, Jim Crow behavior? It was almost like we were told and brought up from children to be seen and not heard. You are quiet, you're the servants, you're below the people that you serve, the Caucasians around you. So it was and a lot of viewers don't really get this. So it's really important to share this background with them because a lot of them just think, there's a problem with how black people are and how we think, but they don't understand the power of that mindset just going through generations and being passed down. And if you do that with your children because that's how you felt and that's how you were treated, then that goes down through generations. That's why Bob Marley talks about mental slavery. Because you have to emancipate yourself from that. But absolutely right. But we need examples, and we need to break those cycles so our youth can understand to see themselves with great work.
Without me being as resilient as I would have carried that trait onto my kids, which I did for a short period of time. Because I had my first son, I know we're jumping ahead, but when we had our first son, I became my stepfather.
I see. So you had to be aware of what you were doing to be able to change that.
I saw me acting like him and reacting to my son's behavior like him. And I thought, what are you doing here?
Wow.
I had to catch myself in order to stop myself. Because I saw my stepfather in me playing it out to our first son.
So let's go back to your dad and your stepfather, and then we can be able to understand the impact that it had on you as a father yourself. So, what was the relationship with your dad?
It was a relationship that was, I loved my father, but that was the love I knew or felt I was, that was there, but it was very, very distant, because whenever I did see him, it was once in a blue moon. It probably was only a matter of weeks, but it felt like months. And with that, it left me yearning for him. Yearning for something I didn't know what to reach out for, but I wanted something that I wasn't getting at home, because I wasn't getting it from my mum, and I wasn't getting it from my dad. And I have to bear in mind, now becoming a father and a parent, I have to understand the struggles of a parent raising a child. And I think life is a lot harder for us as parents now than they were then. Because we're having more kids. It's harder to bring in income. Don't get me wrong, their way of raising our kids then was harder for them because the racism was a little bit more prevalent.
And they would just blatantly shut the door in your face.
So that was hard for them. So I reckon a lot, especially my stepdad and my mum, were coming home after probably having a long day, having to deal with a lot of nonsense from their boss.
That's it.
And then we were just got the brunt of it. We got the brunt of it.
Bro, totally.
We got the brunt in the sense that they were coming home tired, they had to cook, they had to pick us up from school. We're boys just wanted to be kids, and every little thing we got battered for.
Innit?
Every little thing. So
my dad come home, unam out the bread.
We got that.
And man is shitting bricks because oh shit. Someone's gonna get it.
Battered for everything. Anything in sight.
What's the bread there for? Because you're gonna eat it.
So as a result, again, see, my dad was a luxury, and his way of showing love was by taking him to Wrigley Road Market, buying us bagels, and when I say us, I mean me.
Mad memories of raving.
Eating
salmon and cream bagels.
And it always seemed to be a Sunday.
Oh, really?
It always seemed to be a Sunday.
So maybe that was his arrangement with your mum?
Maybe. I don't know. Because I never heard any conversations.
No one communicated.
No, they didn't communicate. I think he would just knock the door and turn up. Me knowing my dad, bit of a charmer. I remember we used to look down Holloway Road when I used to go shopping with my mum, or we'd just be with my friends whenever I was allowed out. And there's a different women would always come up to me and go, "You see your father?" And I'm like, "No." Because me not see him in weeks. I just didn't get what was going on. And every single time it was a different woman. I didn't get it.
Your dad was a coxman.
And then I later on found out I had a ton of sisters, and
you kidding me?
He was all over the place. And then and it's the bad thing because I didn't know my dad, but I picked up every single one of his traits.
Wow.
Every single one of his traits.
I didn't
see him to pick up the way he smiled, his mannerism, the way he charmed with. I picked up every single one of those traits, and it carried over to me.
I hear you.
So I became my dad without even realising. But I picked up a lot of my stepfather's stern, old-fashioned ways.
Can I just drop something in there for people who don't really get about why they find a lot of dads, a lot of black guys got kids all over the place? I also believe, and we have to understand psychology and the power of how something's done for hundreds of years. When you take a man from his family, you move him over here, you put him over there, you stick a black man with another family, and then he has to start somewhere else. So you're being moved. It's almost like that's been placed in the system of you. So you're not even used to, through hundreds of years of bringing up your own family.
It's tough. It's in our DNA, and unless it's changed, we will carry on.
Carry on.
And I've spoken to friends about this, why we just...
Slavery's done deep, deep damage.
It has, but we are now of a generation where we can change that.
Straight, but you find people saying, that happened ages ago, we still going on, you're not slaves now. But you have to understand, it's almost like PTSD.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's like of course I went through abuse years ago. I'm not still being abused now, but it's affected me.
Of course it does.
Depression, it's affected mental health. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
So for people to get this, you have to understand how the mind works. And it's not about knocking people, it's about understanding people.
And I think what doesn't go in our favour, we're not open to help.
No. And we're distrustful.
We just don't want help.
Because the whole time we've been dealt with in a certain way, and we're seen as not valued. So you ain't trusted nobody.
No, we don't trust and we don't want help. I realised I need help. Now, jumping forward, but we'll get back on script. I realised I needed help because I was becoming somebody I didn't like. And the person I was becoming was not nice at home. It wasn't nice in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I carry on this way, something's going to happen. And I realised that because I was carrying on generations of behaviour. And that would have carried to my son, and my son would have done that to his kids and his kids.
There you go.
So I saw that and I thought, I'm doing something wrong here. What can I do to change it? I do not want to be like my dad, having tons of women. I was having that and I thought, this is great, but then what next?
Yeah.
I don't want to be my stepdad, just verbally abusive, psychologically abusive. And because of what he done physically to us, it was just becoming normal behaviour at home.
I hear you.
So I thought, I got two examples here, not great examples. But yet all my white friends don't have these problems.
Wow.
So I thought, why is it different for us? And my mum couldn't answer the question. My friends couldn't answer the question.
Why did you remember actually asking her?
Yeah, I asked her, and she just, boy, shut up. And it was just licks all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she didn't know how to deal with it because they were already knackered and tired and poorly educated.
Yeah.
So I can't knock her.
That training's been passed down.
I can't knock her. So I thought, right, how the hell are we going to change this? Yeah. I'm talking in later life now.
Of course, I understand
but during it, I can only reflect on it because I've gone through that.
Thank you.
But now I'm at the other side, I'm like, woo, if I didn't pull these triggers, or if this suspension didn't happen to me in my sport, or if this didn't happen to me, I would not have pulled that plug.
I hear you. So going back, there's no one you're communicating with then. Your dad at home, there's no real communication levels.
No.
And there's a lot of young people and viewers that are going to look back at their childhood and see the same thing.
Of course.
Yeah, as they watch your journey. And your dad that comes down to visit, how consistent was he in visiting?
Again, it's hard to say. It was very rare. And I wanted to see him more.
Okay, so you didn't expect him every week, and then
I didn't know when. And my mum said, "Oh, your dad's coming today," and then wouldn't see him.
Yeah. Oh, those things happen.
Yeah.
Which was quite demoralising as well.
Wouldn't see him.
You lift your spirits up, and then get crushed.
And that happened frequently.
Wow.
Frequently to the point, even at home, Mum, can I have this? No. I didn't even ask my stepdad, Mum, can I have this? No. So we were used to no's.
What was it about your stepdad why you didn't ask? I was used to no's as well.
I never had that confidence to ask him a question. And he would never say, okay, Dwayne, he don't do that. Even now.
I hear you.
Even now, he's still alive. Even now. Doesn't have a conversation. He would probably deny everything that happened to us.
Yeah.
Deny it.
Which a lot of them do. They've got amnesia, they forget. But it's strange, now you're a grown man, and looking back at that, did you ever want to address it? Did you ever want to ask him any questions?
I got help, and I saw a psychologist.
Brilliant.
Again, I was against that for a while, but I found, my God, why didn't I do this earlier? And it helped me massively. And I also got hypnotized for the first time. And it was the weirdest experience I've ever encountered. For the sheer fact that the lady asked me to bring up all my concerns and my issues.
Wow.
So she put me under, and it was the weirdest thing because I knew I was in a room like this.
Mm-hmm.
There was a candle burning. I could smell the candle. And then when she put me under, I could no longer smell the candle.
Wow.
And I wanted to open my eyes, and I couldn't open my eyes.
Are you for real?
It was out of this. I could not open my eyes. I was like, I wanted to open. I couldn't. So she goes, stay relaxed. I could hear her voice.
Because I've always wondered about that.
It is the weirdest thing.
What's this hypnotism things? And I'm like, I don't want someone in control of our mind at any time. So
It is the weirdest thing. But I've done it 4,
interesting
5, 6,
hearing
7
it.
times now. Just to help me deal with triggers.
I hear you.
So certain words trigger me. Certain sounds trigger me. Certain smells trigger me.
I hear you.
And that's when I would react. If I saw or heard certain things, they would cause me to snap.
Yeah.
So she taught me how to address certain things. So she said, I want you to bring forth all the people that you have an issue with, who you felt have done you wrong. Mum, stepdad, and later on we'll talk about Victor Conte, the guy
No
who
doubt.
I had my encounter with when I was taking performance enhancers. So I had to bring all of those people into the surface. It was the hardest thing because I had to physically see myself and bring those individuals in. Now, the hardest thing is to actually see their faces, which I couldn't do. So I knew their presence, their body, and
Was there while you
their
were
image. Yeah,
while
I was under. It's almost like I'm daydreaming. So we were in the woods, and I had to sit down on a log, and there was a fire burning. And she goes, Dwayne, I want you to shout and scream and swear and do everything to get it out of your system at all these 3 individuals. So in my mind, I was barking at them, going nuts.
Yeah.
Just saying, you done this? Why would you hit me, mum? Mum, why didn't you say it? All of that came out of me. I could have been there for 2-3 minutes, but it felt like I was there for freaking ever.
Wow.
And once I got all that out of my system, she goes, are you finished? And I said, yeah. She goes, how do you feel towards those people? I said, I'm okay now. And ever since that moment, I don't hate my stepdad no more. I don't hate my mum. Anytime I got an issue with somebody who's done me something in the past, I go in, I bark at them, I shout at them, and get it out of my system. And replace it with a new memory.
Wow. It's a little bit like what I'm asking people to do when I say reframe the story.
I go into that cinema and
Just
I
like,
cut
yeah.
out that scene
Yeah.
and I replace it with a new one.
Yeah.
So I don't carry those triggers anymore. So no longer now do I go into my mum or dad's house and think, you used to hit, I hate you. I don't have that no more.
Yeah. I also do role play when I'm doing like life coaching with some clients, like just get them to, if this is the person,
Yep.
get it all out.
Yep.
And it's a massive
It helps. And now I do it all the time.
experience, Yeah.
So whenever I'm feeling anxious or nervous, I go inside and I physically just see myself walking and talking. I always talk to my younger self now, all the time.
Big.
Because any issues I'm having with communication, it starts from then. Me not being able to talk as a youngster.
Yeah.
So now I talk to Dwayne then,
Yeah.
and I say, Dwayne, what's happening? Why is this happening? So I force the younger Dwayne to talk. So now he's got more confident, which is built up in me being more confident.
Right.
That's how I have to play with my head.
Easy.
So that's taking me a bit of time.
Yeah, yeah, because it's practice.
It's practice.
Because we've been doing something for so long
Yeah.
that that's the only way we think
Correct.
it can be done.
So I change it.
So you got to practice a new way.
I change it. So now younger Dwayne's cool as a fan.
Yeah.
So all right, I know how to deal with it now. So anytime I got any, I don't know how to deal with that, I go back to the start, fix him, give him more confidence. So I'm an older mentor to a younger Dwayne.
God.
That's how I have to do
That's
it.
it. That's it.
And then by the time I come out of it, I shake it off. It takes a while to spool up and kind of come in.
Okay.
And sometimes it's like instant day, or sometimes it takes weeks. Weeks in the sense that if I know I've got a big interview coming up, I have to do it way down the line.
Okay. Okay.
Way. I can't just say, I'm seeing Martin, let me do it. It won't work.
Wow.
Now that's why I'm in a position now I can just talk openly. Nothing don't faze me.
Beautiful.
Nothing phases me.
Beautiful, man. That's power right there. People need tools to know what to do to be able to do it.
Well, we've always been given the rules, but never given the tools. Dad said that to me. I thought, mate, that is magic.
Who said that to you?
One of the dads at my son's football. They told the rules, but never given the tools. We don't know how to get ourselves out of situations.
Write that one down, boy. Woo.
So, fast forwarding back to the future, or going back to the past, stepdad came around every now and again. And yeah, so
I mean,
obviously
your dad came around every now and then.
my dad came around and stepdad was just there. And again, some of the conversations we would have would be my dad asking me, is my stepdad hitting me? And I'd always say no. Because I just knew if I ever admitted that.
Have you ever seen your dad mad?
No. But
you just knew instinctively that was going to cause trouble.
If I knew, because he would come round.
Protecting your mum? You?
I just knew if he came round, if I told my dad, yeah, he's hitting me, my dad will go and try and do him something, which means my dad's not in a position to look after me, so I'm still stuck in that house. So if I say something and my dad starts saying, why are you hitting my son? They're going to argue, but right now, when he shuts that door, I'm still in that house.
Wow.
So I already foresaw, I'm like, if I say something, that's me.
So it's a protection for you, really?
Yeah, that's me, I'm done. And then my mum's not really strong enough to deal with him.
That's
I
right.
thought, it's best I just keep my mouth shut.
Wow. To take whatever's going on at home.
Just dealt with it.
Yeah.
And it just got to a stage where, again, we just weren't allowed out during the summer times and frustrations were building up. Whenever we were allowed to play, we'd have to play when my stepdad was out. And my mum said, be back by 5 o'clock because Lassie's coming home. So we'd have to run back in. Yeah. When my dad was coming in, we would run upstairs and hide and just pretend like we weren't even in the kitchen. When we was at dinner, we would never have an open conversation. It would just be him talking, TV's on, don't talk, eat your dinner, wash your dishes, go to bed. Done.
No relationship.
So I still carry some of those traits of discipline in me with my kids. I'm disciplined with them, but I'm a cool father.
Got you. That's me.
Yeah, I'm a cool father. I just chill and laugh, and my kids are asking me about everything, sex, the lot. And my wife's like, but I'm like, tell them. Because I then go on YouTube and find it. They ask me how many girlfriends I had, why this happened. I tell them. But we could not have those conversations. So I know I'm building better individuals now because of that.
That's right.
So lo and behold, things got rough. And then...
When did it change, like, at home? When did you... Because I remember an age where I got to where I started thinking differently about the people at home. When did you start thinking differently? Is it because your nuts are growing, dick's getting bigger, your hairs, you're growing maturity, your mind's starting to change? Okay.
I was a late bloomer. I didn't have intimacy with girls. I didn't even know what that meant until I was about 17, 18, 19.
Same age as me.
So when my friends were saying, yeah, I done this last night, I was like, you did? I'm like, yeah, I done that too. I was like, I ain't done a damn thing. I had no clue.
Everyone thought I was all up in there from a long time.
I had no clue. So all that was foreign to me. But I was around a bunch of friends that were the same. We weren't interested in girls then. Okay. And we didn't have any girls on our block. So the ones that we did, they were pretty much tomboys. So we didn't have the little urges to look, didn't have none of that.
Yeah.
So it was around when I was 14, I then got into sport. And that came as a result of my primary school teacher, Mr. Dave May, saying, you give me hell at school, but boy, can you run.
How old?
12, 13.
So really just kind of adolescent?
Yeah, I was just quick. But because of my lack of discipline at home, or too much discipline, and not being able to express myself outside the house, my badness leaked into the classroom. So I was disruptive.
Obviously, because it leaks out somewhere. I
was disruptive, so I didn't learn. Always got sent to the naughty corner. And when they talk about kids, you always have to sit in the front of the wall and face the corner. That's how it was. We had to sit in the corner and face the wall. That's how it was.
Yeah. I remember getting sent to another room.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, you could wait from the class.
But one thing I could do was run. And there was this kid, this is what made me as an athlete. There was this kid in school called Ken Canoe. And Ken Canoe was the fastest in the school. And I was second. And me and Ken Canoe would race all the time. Literally like from here, this wall to the end of the car park. It was a short little race, but it would beat me and he would beat me and I hated it. He was probably about 4 or 5 years older than me, but I didn't care about age. I just wanted to win. Right. And every day Ken would beat me. And I remember one day I was running and I raced Ken and I noticed as he got closer to the end of the school fence, he would slow down to protect himself. And I thought, he's slowing down like the last few meters before he gets to the wall. So I thought, if I just run while he's slowing down, I might beat him.
Because you weren't far behind.
I was always like this. Yeah. But I noticed just to protect himself against the wall, because obviously we're running from wall to wall.
That's it.
So I noticed as he got closer to the wall, he was slowed down. So I thought, if I just keep speeding up when he's slowing down, I'll catch him. One day my confidence got high. I said, all right, today's the day. I raced him, didn't catch him. I said, Ken, let's go again. He said, all right. I ran and I put everything into it. I just committed 110% that I'm going to run through that wall if it kills me. I said, I don't care. If I run to that wall and it hurts me, I'm prepared to do that just so I can beat him. So we were running. Ken took off as usual. He was just like a bat. He was just like a Ferrari versus the Mini. He was just boom, gone. But I realized my Mini had the ability to keep on going and it was going to go through that wall if it had to. So I said, right, we were off. Ken was gone. And I thought, keep on going, D, because he's going to slow down. And I noticed that Q is going to slow down. I kept on. And I kept on and I got to the wall before him and I beat him. And from that day, Ken never, ever, ever beat me again.
Are you for real, bro?
He never, ever beat me again.
That cycle.
So from then, it made me, it told me, one, never to give up. And two, when you're going to do something, do it 100 miles an hour and don't ever question it again.
Wow.
From then, that's why I never crack under pressure.
And that's when you start, that's when like secondary school started.
From then, I thought.
That's a big lesson.
From then, I thought.
As early as secondary school to get that.
And then it made me the fastest in the school. But then I didn't brag about it. I was just like, okay, that goal was accomplished, tick, let me move on.
It's like everybody else talks about it.
Yeah. I was never into the showing off. That was never me.
Yeah.
That was my own little goal. And I went home satisfied. And I was just like, I've done it.
Big.
And off the back of that, again, running fast, and my primary school teacher, Mr. Dave May, who wrote me a letter just saying, you inspired me. And we speak to this day. He introduced me to a guy called Chris. Chris then took me on and started training me at Finsbury Park when it was a cinder track, cinder being like dust and sawdust. It was just not the best tracks that we have now.
Yeah.
And Chris took me on, and his first event that he put me in was not sprints, it was a cross country.
So up to this point, had you like said to yourself, I'm going to be an athlete, I'm going to be...
I wanted to be a fireman.
Wow.
I loved the sound of the siren. And where we used to live on Hornsey Road, I think it is, there was a fire station there. And I always used to sometimes on occasion see them sliding down. And that fascinated me. Because again, you're talking to a kid that barely got out of his room. So all this was new to me. My friends saw that all the time. They're like, why are you... I was like, never saw it.
Yeah.
So blue lights, the big engine, the truck coming out, seeing them slide down the path, like, yes, that's what I want to do.
So if young people have access to see what they can become,
the more you
then
see,
things are possible.
Of course it is. And my only dream was, I didn't really have it, I just wanted to be a fireman, that was it. I had no idea that me sitting in that bedroom for all that time was actually making me.
Wow.
It was making me. It was building that fire, I had no clue. I resented seeing my friends out there in the summertime. I was looking out the window waving, they would laugh at me. I hated it.
Been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
But it was making me want, it was wanting me to go out there and just express myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to be a fireman. Lo and behold, Chris took me on, maybe running a cross country. And for all I know, that cross country could have been freaking 3 laps around the track. But it felt like forever because I'm not used to running I'm not used to running like that. And I remember running and I thought, everyone was just gone. It was just me on my lonesome. All the other guys that run cross country were just gone.
Gone, bro.
I was last.
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't want to do this. So I deliberately tripped over a log, hoping that somebody would come back and get me to say, oh, it's okay, Dwayne, let's walk it back. Nobody came. So I thought, I guess I got to finish it then.
You broke up yourself
deliberately.
And got no help.
And no help. I just looked up, nobody was there. And I thought, okay. Got up, finished the race, everyone congratulated me. And the fact that I got congratulated made me think, oh, this is different. I have never had somebody pat me back saying, well done, you done good, you finished, congratulating. It was no physical beating, it was none of that. I thought, oh, this is different. Cool. I went back for more. Got congratulated. I went back for more, got congratulated, went back for more, got congratulated. And every race I went to was like that. The only sad thing was I was getting congratulated by other coaches and other kids' parents and not my own.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I didn't think anything because my mum was like, well, you're with a responsible adult, go with them.
Okay.
She couldn't get out because she had my 2 younger sisters and she had a ton of work.
Okay.
I hated them at the time, but now I get it.
Yeah.
So when I was getting all this praise from other people, it was just building me up. And I then moved on from Chris to Selwyn Filbert. Selwyn then kept me at the same track, Finsbury Park, but he turned what raw ability I have. The same raw ability that Custamato saw in Mike Tyson, he turned that switch on.
Wow.
So he found a
So
way.
with him, you began to envision yourself now
He found a way
as a real athlete.
to use what has been brewing all this time and turn that switch up.
Do you remember when you first thought, I'm a kick ass. I want to be number one. I want to be the best sprinter in the country.
That wasn't there yet. I just knew that this was the best thing I could ever do. It was so much fun. I wasn't being abused. I was out of the house. I was free to do what I'd been wanting to do out for summer.
Yeah,
during the
that's
summer
a
holidays.
big word. I'd get that free.
So I was free.
Free, man.
I just ran and won and ran and won and ran and won. By the time I was 16, I was earning more money than my parents.
You're kidding me, Dwayne.
By the time I was 16,
When did you see any money come in from racing?
I didn't
the
really
first
see.
time?
They kind of managed it. I had like a semi-agent then. Somebody was just kind of managing my affairs.
Okay.
Again, I was just none the wiser. Again, at this period of time, because I was getting recognised, I got an offer from a Harvard and Idaho college to go to university. I ripped that shit up and put it in the bin. Not knowing, I thought, I can't study. Me study? No. In the bin.
Oh my God.
Didn't even show my mum. That thing came through the door on more than one occasion. I ripped that up and put it in the bin. They wanted me to take an SAT. I was like, I can't do that. I looked at it and I saw this question with multiple choice. I said, nah, put that in the bin. Ripped it up. Put it in the bin.
Mercy.
Them things came through the door regular. I was like, nah, not for me.
What had you done up to that point for these things to come through the
I
door?
was winning. And not
So
winning by
you're talking
far.
about like borough
school
stuff.
champs, European championships for my age group. I was
Yeah.
winning. And it was nothing to me. Winning. By the time I was 16, I was the fastest kid in the world. 16, 17, I was the fastest kid in the world. I went to the world, I won the world.
How did that make you feel?
Subconsciously, it's what I wanted, but I hadn't realised
What you were doing?
what I was doing and the impact I was having on the world. I didn't realise.
I get it.
I didn't get it. I was just like, okay, I won the World Juniors. I ran 10:06. I was more concerned about having a party after I raced with my friend Christian. I didn't care.
Man.
I was more concerned, yeah, let's go and party.
I get it, Dwayne.
It wasn't something that was at the forefront of my mind. It was just something I was just blessed to do. As easy as it is for you to breathe, this is as easy as it was for me to run. There was nothing, I was just genetically engineered to do this. Some people get blessed with the ability to think outside the box with certain things. They can crunch numbers like a calculator.
Yeah.
My stepson John, he can crunch numbers better than a calculator. Smart as hell. He just touched with it.
What did this guy add to you that you were working with?
He gave me an
that you
opportunity
never
to
had?
get out of the house and train. He gave me an opportunity to get out the house 2 or 3 times a week and train.
What did he need to do that, to make
He
that
turned up to
happen?
my door. That was the first part. I got an opportunity. Mr. May said, yeah, go. My mum said, okay, go. When I wasn't able to go, he would come and knock my door. But someone was a bit wacky. He was borderline something wrong, but he found a way to turn me into something else.
And how do you get round your dad?
Stepdad weren't there.
Okay.
Oh, my dad was still around, but he weren't there. He weren't there.
And your stepdad, how did he get
He was at
round?
work, so when I was out, I didn't have to deal with him. I think me not being there was calm for him, because I guess whenever he saw me, he saw my dad, because me and my stepdad and my dad were friends. So you need to talk to my mum about that. my
that
dad,
again, bruv.
and my stepdad were once friends.
Okay.
So somehow my mum and my
Yeah.
dad fell apart,
that's
and
it.
then Lass came in, my stepdad came in.
Wow.
But my dad wasn't probably the best person to be around, so my mum just bounced.
Yeah.
My mum just bounced.
Yeah. Did you ever find out the real background story about what went on there?
Just because he was never there. He was just always expressing empty promises.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that stayed with me. When she said that, she goes, your dad would lie. He would lie and say he's going to do this and come home, ask for money from my account to go and open up a business and took the money and spent it.
And you saw that in the way that he dealt with you?
Yeah, I heard it all.
Okay.
It never made sense then, but now I'm just like, if my dad's traits like that, that means that's definitely in me. And it was in me.
Okay.
Because I knew I could charm my way through things and smile and get girls easy.
Yeah.
I thought that's exactly what my dad was doing. My mum said, you're just like your dad.
Wow. And that didn't make you feel good?
It was good because I got a lot of attention, but...
No, her saying that you're like your dad.
Like it.
Nah.
But those are the things that over time made me start to change. And rest my dad's soul, he's gone now, but he waited till he was 65 to realise what talent he had. But by then it was too late. Within a year, he died. So I thought, I am not waiting until I'm 65 to realise what I've got. I said, no way.
What did your dad have?
Don't know. It was in Jamaica. They wouldn't really go into detail about what he died of. And it just scared the hell out of me. I thought, there's no way on this earth am I going to have this ability, wait till I'm freaking old and to realise, oh my God, I had this and I didn't use it.
Your dad never actually talked to you about any gifts that he had, anything that he done?
Everyone else did.
Really? What did they tell you about?
He was great with his hand. He was gifted with his hands. He fixed things. He didn't need to read he just fixes things. Now I've got that ability, and so does my son Sky.
Okay.
You can just look at it and fix it. We're good like that with our hands.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's a skill set that he's had that he's passed down through DNA, not from visual.
That's it.
We're just blessed with that ability to fix things with our hands.
So if they understood the process of business, they could have turned into something.
He would have been so successful, but he was ready. He just cared about charming women, being free, smoking weed.
That's it.
And that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, enough man's going to be watching this and realise, bruv, I'm on the same thing.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to do.
You just love the panani and you love the bun in the weed. But then when you get to 50, 60 and you're going to realise you just wasted your whole life.
That's what scared me, because his missus there when he was in Jamaica, because he couldn't come back.
Yeah.
Because your father is so talented. When I went to Jamaica then saw the work he'd done,
wow.
Everyone else praised him, but he wouldn't praise himself or show his ability to us, me.
So you didn't even realise
until he was gone.
His dad had got.
So
could have been making
it was nuts. So then, like I said, again jumping back, I then became the fastest kid in the world, running and breaking the world junior record, 10.06 seconds, and that was just off of the sheer raw talent.
Bruv,
sheer talent.
And he hadn't quite honed in all those skills that you needed and techniques.
I was a disaster waiting to happen, because all my past discrepancies and ill feelings and bad temperament
had to be dealt with.
So while I was rising to success, my past was creeping up.
Wow, I love that.
While I was rising up to success, my past was chasing me.
I love that.
So now in life, I learned to rise, keep looking what's going on. If I'm upset situations, deal with them, because if you don't, they'll come back.
And so many people who are successful can tell that story.
It happens all the time.
That everyone's looking at you because they see you on telly, they see your success, and they want to be you, not realising all the issues and all the troubles that's going on inside of you.
It's coming back.
And every individual has these things they got to address.
So as
how was yours catching up with you? Where was you seeing it coming out?
When I started to become even more successful, agents started to present themselves, contracts started to present themselves.
What ages are these now?
18, 19, 20. Now, I was now with various agents, various contracts were being exchanged. Money was being spoken about. Parents were not involved. I felt that I was wise enough to make my own decisions. So I was having my agents at the time negotiate for me. And I went from pennies to freaking 200 grand in a year.
Wow.
So when I saw that, even though I was around a good set of people, but at this time I had
from traveling and going to do
races and getting become more popular. So I was then getting sponsored by various sponsors at the time.
Yeah.
And I was then coached at my peak by Mike McFarlane. So he replaced that father figure. He now became that centre hub for me as a father. Because stepdad was just... Then I very, very rarely saw him. I think we fell out.
Okay.
I think I then started to become a little bit more of an alpha male. And whenever my dad was trying to tell me something, I was like, shut up, yeah. I was never disrespectful like that, but I was just like, I didn't want to hear it.
But mentally, that's how you were feeling towards it.
Testosterone was growing, money was in my hands, I was popular. So again, this past was time to creep. Stepdad was just whatever. Mum was just like,
So now, because there was never really a communication relationship, so now you're a man, it's not going to begin then. It's just like, I'm just doing me
it's
now.
a recipe for disaster, waiting to happen. So contracts came in, big deals started to get signed. I was probably one of the best athletes out there in the world at the time.
Yeah.
And then, again, doing well in major championships, getting bronzes, silvers, golds. I then got to a stage where winning didn't happen so easily.
Really?
So because as a junior, under the lower leagues and as a junior, I was always bringing home medals. When I now got to the senior stage, where I was up against elite athletes, I was still placing like 4th and 5th in the finals, which is still excellent.
Yes, bro.
But I saw it as a failure.
Yeah, of course.
Because I didn't bring home medals.
Yeah.
And then the press was saying, oh, Dwayne failed to make...
Wow.
So then, I was just like, ooh, maybe I am failing.
What a different challenge.
Mike McFarlane and various other coaches were saying, Dwayne, you just realised you finished 4th in the world, 5th in the world, and you're still 20 years old? I said, nah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. So I was never open to constructive criticism. I hated it.
Really, King?
Again, because I wasn't allowed to express myself. I didn't know how to handle conversations. It was creeping.
And wanted that praise because every race gave you that opportunity to get that pound.
So because I wasn't getting the praises that I got when I done the cross country and the cross country and the lower league races, I was getting, next year, Dwayne, I didn't like it. So then, looking ahead to I think I finished, 2001 was in Edmonton, Canada. I finished 4th or 5th. And again, I ran under 10 seconds 2 or 3 times that year. Still a great achievement.
Yeah, man.
Sponsors were happy, but I wasn't happy. I then said to my agent, what are the Americans doing? I want to find out what they're doing because what's making them more superior than I?
I hear you.
So he goes, okay, let me look into it. I'll find out. So we went and done his due diligence, found me a coach in America. I'm going to be very selective and not mention any names. So I went to America, ended up training in Miami. And before I knew it, my career was done because what I had stepped into was worse than stepping into horse shit.
I hear you, bro.
I got to Miami, me and my friend. We were training, saw the likes of some athletes that we'd grown up watching. So to see them in the flesh was like, whoa, this is so cool. So as weeks progressed, training fine. I didn't notice much difference in the way I trained versus how the Americans trained. So there was not much difference. Yes, the weather and less distraction. Because when you're away from home, you got less distraction because you don't have your friends saying, D, let's go out, let's do this, let's do that. There was less distractions. We just literally trained, chilled, slept. That became our daily routine.
How was you with discipline up to this point?
I was pretty good.
Yeah?
I was pretty good. I realised that being this way fulfilled that void, kept me happy. I realised I was getting successful without the physical.
How do you mean?
Physical abuse.
Okay, I get
from parents. I wasn't getting that. I was getting praised for what I was doing. Even though I wasn't getting the rewards from the medals, I wasn't getting ridiculed by my stepfather. Stuff at home.
Staying in that good place.
I was staying in that good place. And I dealt with the rough stuff at home when I had to, which was very rarely. By the time I was 18, I'd moved out, so I was just flying the nest and doing my own stuff. So as weeks progressed, when we was in Miami, this guy came out of the woodworks and said, Dwayne, I've been looking at you for a long time. I know what you need. In my best American accent. And he said, you need pharmacology. I said, what's pharmacology? And at this time, I didn't have a dictionary to read about what pharmacology was. I didn't know. Goes, look, go and talk to them athletes over there. They'll tell you the deal. And come back to me when you're ready. So the athletes were just called. I said, yeah, we've been working with Homeboy for a while. We've been working with him for ages. He's good. He knows his stuff. Jump on board. No, but I had no clue what I was getting myself into. But by the time I'd stepped off that plane from Gatwick to Miami, my career was done. So I went back to the man and said, all right, everyone says you're cool. What does it mean I got to do? And he goes, well, firstly, I can take you from being number 5 in the world, which I was, which is still number 5 in the whole entire planet. I saw that as not good because I was used to being on the podium.
Of course. Hearing
national anthem and tears and all the rewards that came after it. I wasn't getting that anymore. So I felt like I was declining, which I totally wasn't. So he goes, I can take you from being number 5 in the world to number 1 in the world. Now, there's one thing I want to stress. Whenever you're setting the goals, be very specific about what you want. Reason being, because I wasn't specific enough, which left me open to reaching my success at any means necessary. If I said I want to be world champion, make sure I eat right, sleep right, avoid taking performance enhancers, those things wouldn't approach me.
I hear you.
But because I wasn't specific enough, I said I want to be the best in the world, and I left myself open to anybody coming at me.
I hear you.
And because of that, people were coming at me. And it just so happened that the right person came at me and fished out a line with the bait on it that was nice enough. It was Aki. I was like, oh, that tasted nice. So he said, I can take you from being number 5 in the world to number 1 in the world. I bypassed everything else. I thought, let's go.
Yeah.
What does it entail? And he goes, well, it's going to entail taking a program. That program is going to cost you X, but you will become the best in the world. Now, it all sounded great until I had to take that first injection. I thought, what the hell am I doing? Now, when Morpheus said to Neo, you want to find out how deep the rabbit hole goes and take the red pill, the blue pill, I chose to take one of that pills and found out how deep the rabbit hole went. Now, I'm not saying this is the case in sport for all walks of sport. I can only refer to my experience.
That's it. We're listening to your journey.
So when I took that pill and I realised how deep the rabbit hole went, I thought, what the hell am I doing?
Wow.
This is no longer fun.
Have you, obviously at the time, you've probably not been able to understand your journey so far, has developed the mind that you have, and why you'd want to take this route and find yourself in this situation and without able to put on the brakes, because that's attached to the person that you are, the past that you've gone through, how badly you want to be on the podium, and all of these little dynamics has probably messed with your mind and said, well, this ain't right, but at the same time, but look,
I've got to do this.
I'm here, I've got to do this.
I've got to do this. And I did ponder on it, and I did speak to people, and I phoned them up. Some said, D, don't do this. Some man said, boy, if you don't do it, I will. And listening to the man them was far better than listening to my partner at the time.
Okay.
She's like, D, don't do that, because that's trouble. She smelt the flames from a long time, but I was just like, no, but this is what I do. And I realised there was a little bit of a consequence to this. I got that.
But you didn't want to sit in it.
I didn't want to sit back away. I didn't want to miss that opportunity, because I thought, if I don't do this, somebody else is going to be doing it. That means I go down to 6th in the world, then 7th in the world. That means my contract gets cut. My lifestyle changes, and I'm no longer going to be the athlete I should be. So I immediately jumped onto another man's boat thinking that was the way forward.
So do you think athletes will jump on it because they're looking at what I'm up against?
I know that's what I did.
Okay.
I felt that all those other guys were on it. They never actually said to me that they're taking the performance enhancers, you know.
Right.
So I just assumed, lo and behold they were, but I assumed that's what they were doing. I had no proof. So for all I know, you could have just been told them to lie and just come for me solely. Lo and behold, things didn't, because everyone got in trouble. So I assumed that's what they were doing. I wanted to do it because I was afraid of not being the best. I wanted to know what being the best felt like. And like I said, I chose to jump off my ship and jump on Captain Jack Sparrow's ship and go sailing. And my ambitions just left, and I jumped on his dream. So I now learned to, when people say, D, trust me, I don't ever listen to that no more. Because how can I trust somebody else who doesn't necessarily trust themselves what they're doing? To put my life in their hands, and when they're ready, they're going to go like that, and my career's gone. So I now learn how to trust myself. And if I don't trust myself, I don't trust nobody else. I learned to trust people as far as I can throw them. And I'm an open, caring person. I realise people do crap and they make poor decisions. I get that. That's human nature. But I also know when it comes to certain things, money, or if anyone was to ever come to me and say, D, I've got something, nobody knows about it, I am gone. Gone. One, I don't want to go through that again. Two, I realised that I've got more value and more respect for myself to do that. And I wish I'd given myself the chance to see what I could do naturally. Hence why I still compete to this day.
Did you have someone, your mentor in your life, that actually discussed your values and your beliefs about those things?
No.
Being in an industry where that was possible?
No. And if there was, I wasn't open to listening.
I hear you.
When you're on top of the world, everyone's saying they can do this and that for you. I was on the top of the world at
You're in a
different
bubble.
scale. Yeah, when you're in that bubble, I was on planet Pluto. Some of these guys out there that are just on different planets, and I've got people constantly in them, injecting stuff into them, not physically by way of performance and arts, but injecting views and their thoughts. And so you can imagine on that on a big scale.
I like the analogy. Injecting stuff into them, their thoughts. And
so when you've got that constantly in your head, you just like get fed up of listening. And you never really want to listen to the person who's talking logic. Now, when it's noisy, I listen to the quiet voice. Because everyone else is shouting.
That's really powerful, Dwayne.
Everyone's shouting.
When it's noisy,
Everyone's shouting.
listen to the quiet voice.
When it gets too much and I hear someone say, D, quietly like that, I'm like,
That's
okay.
beautiful, baby.
My conscience is, my spider sense is talking. So, lo and behold, program started. I had to pay him quite a substantial amount of money. Regular hospital visits to make sure I wasn't overdosing. My weight fluctuated to the point I was 198
Why,
pounds.
aren't they doctoring? Aren't they making
This is
sure?
illegal, what I was doing.
Yeah, but aren't they making sure that they're doing it? Because you can't just do it.
He was monitoring everything I did. But in order for him to find a base level of where I'm optimum, say this is my level, I constantly went over just to find the right balance for me until we got to here. Then we knew this was the right level for me to operate at with all the stuff I was taking. So many times I went over because we just course corrected and overdosed in so many different ways.
How would you know that?
The way I felt in hospital, the cramps, the hospital visits.
I see. So
the
it's not,
temperament.
Yeah, so it's not all
the weight
peaches.
gain.
So it's not all peaches and cream.
No.
Even going down that route isn't. It's not like, just put that in, everything's sweet, because that's everybody thinks that.
Yeah, I was smart. I was glad that I had him there to monitor what I was doing, because if I was left to my own devices, I would have been a goner.
That means it can actually hurt and damage you. It's dangerous.
It is very dangerous, and it's not something, even I'm talking about it openly, and it made me a physical specimen.
Wow.
The implications and the stuff behind it was not great.
Yeah, bruv, you were a beast.
I was a beast. But
I was looking at you and telling like, what the fuck?
it changed me.
Looks like the Hulk.
It turned me into Bruce Banner effectively.
Yeah, bro.
But I didn't need that because I was already wired to do this. I just lost belief in me because I didn't have any belief from here. So now, as this is creeping, I became even more successful. You can see what's happening here. When certain people are saying, yes, do this, don't do that, I was afraid to say no, because deep down I was afraid of getting hit. When I told the truth, we got hit.
That's right.
When I said no, we got hit. So I didn't know where to stand. I had my coach saying, you don't need this. I was stuck in the middle. My other coach is saying, you need to take your stuff tonight. So I'm stuck in the middle. Who do I please?
Wow. Wow.
Who do you please?
And without your own standards and values, which dictates what they should be working around. You shouldn't be working around what they're saying. They should be working with Dwayne's focus.
But because I went to him looking for the answer, or he offered the answer, and I didn't choose to say, you know what, I don't need this.
I went to him looking for the answer.
I went to him looking for the answer, and he found me. I was looking for an answer, and I chose to take up the first offer, which now I know not to do. So when my wife goes shopping, she's looking at this offer, she's like, no, that's not right for me. She'll go down every freaking aisle.
So she puts things on the table first and makes an informed choice.
Whereas I just thought, well, that looks good, let me take that. So when we go supermarket, I learn now to go down every single aisle, weigh up all your options, come back, discuss it, think on it, sleep on it, come back, discuss it, think on it, sleep on it, before you make a decision. Which I did, but I made it too soon.
So it might take a bit longer, but it's worth the wait.
It's worth the wait.
Because jumping in quick, the demise is too painful.
Yeah. You miss out on a lot.
The cost is dear.
The cost is very dear. Now, so things started to progress. I started to improve my strength. I was spending a lot of time in America. When I came back home, my friends were looking at me like, what the hell is Dwayne been doing? And I could see it in their eyes. I could see it in the way they looked at me. I could see I was different towards them. I would go out and compete and race, and people who were beating me a year before, I was wiping the table clean with them.
Are you kidding me, Dwayne?
So now I'm not saying that because I was better than because of it, or that they were on before me. I don't know. And it could have been a placebo effect.
Yes.
I could have been taking waterfall on you.
That's right.
But because I was doing that and it made me feel stronger, I won everything. But the glory, the fame, cheering of the crowd was awesome. But when I closed that door and I looked at myself in the mirror, I did not like the person I was seeing.
Wow.
I couldn't look at myself in the mirror.
Wow, Dwayne. Man.
So I very rarely did.
Wow, man.
Very rarely did. Whenever I had my friends come around the house, I had to hide my stuff.
So what's more important? The peace that you have with yourself than the glory, the fame, and all the adulation.
Fame's nice, but fame's nice when you do it in the right way. Because now I can just close my door, I ain't got nothing to worry about. My conscience is clear.
That's it.
But only am I in this settled place because of what I've gone through.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone through this, I would not be in this chair sitting to you. I'd be doing something different. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Even if I had gone through this and I hadn't of chose to get up and carry on walking forward as opposed to sitting down, I would not be the person that's sitting in front of you. I'd be a shell of myself if I had chosen to let it crush me.
Yeah, because it could have, innit?
And it did.
Yeah.
But I realised when I learned not to stop pointing the finger at people, because every time you point at somebody, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you.
That's right.
Every time you point at somebody and say it was your fault, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you saying, what have you done? What can you do better? Why have you done this?
That's right.
And when someone said that to me, I thought, you know what? This is my fault, not nobody else's. It wasn't the Federation who I was choosing to blame. And that's when I realised I got to a stage of maturity where I chose to take the responsibility for this. It was my doing.
How long did that take, Dwayne? Because we've got this nature about us where we don't want to take responsibility. It's everyone else's fault but ours. But I always say, everything that happens, even though you might be able to say, look what they've done to me, there's something for us we can take from that and learn from it and become better.
It took some time. It took a long time because I was effectively fighting for 10 years to get my career back.
Wow.
With being suspended from the games and not being able to go to the Olympic Games no more.
Talk about that. Talk about the pain of because I think the listeners need to understand the consequences to making decisions for short-term gain and pleasure, but with long-term consequences that's too costly. So talk about the pain, bro.
So my 2 years of performance enhancing taking, during that period of time when I was taking up the performance enhancers, I got suspended for 2 years because we got caught.
How?
Someone handed in a sample of what we were taking, which implicated all of us.
You handed in?
Somebody else handed it in.
How's that work?
Somebody else that was on the program, stopped taking the program, handed in the sample to the testers, and they came back and found all of us. Yeah, it was
So
technical.
what was it, like a guilt thing with them? Then they thought, I need to change, and they probably was going through their journey, and they decided, no.
There was a discrepancy between the provider and the supplier. And they met head on, fell apart, and
that's going to blow up for everyone.
It's going to blow up for everyone, which it did. It blew up for everyone.
Yeah, that's like a drug move gone wrong.
It went wrong. We all got suspended. We all got found guilty. Everyone, barring myself, retired. I just got my suspension and said, cool, okay, I'll deal with it. It wasn't easy to deal with.
No. family, friends.
It wasn't easy to deal with.
What is that like,
It
bro?
wasn't easy to deal with because I was embarrassed to go out.
Wow.
Luckily, my main hardcore friends were there.
Go on, that's good.
But it also made me identify the Klingons who were just there because I was famous and I had a huge amount of popularity. But the ones who mattered the most were there. So those, and I'm still friends with every single one of them that bailed on me, only purely because I find it's easier for me to forgive them, knowing that every time I go to the track or a sporting event, I'm going to see these individuals every single time. And do I, A, walk into that thinking, oh, I'm going to see X today and get all jittery?
Yeah.
Or do I say, B, let me go back inside, deal with this, cleanse it, get rid of it, and be cool with that person?
Yeah.
So I mustered up the confidence to apologize to every single one of them.
Wow.
So you know what? I done wrong. If you got anything to say, let's just hash it out now.
That's
I dealt with
powerful.
every single one of them.
That's powerful. You're
So
giving
if
everyone
they've
the
got
way
any
forward.
grievance with me, that's them. I'm just like, I'm a clear canvas now.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
This is it.
That's the strategy right there of cleansing
Cleanse it and
your
deal with
soul.
it. I dealt with it. I said, I've done wrong. Let's deal with it. Let's move on. So if you still got issues with me, let's talk about it. I can sit there all day long and explain to you why I did it. They know why I did it because they're in sport. They get it.
They get it.
But I explained why I did it. It wasn't about you. I thought this was the best thing for me to do to get to there.
That's correct. So we were talking about the pain.
So dealing with that was hard. I only recently told my mum properly what happened.
Really?
Not too long ago.
Did
what
they
happened?
ask? Did they ask? Before that, did your stepdad ask?
No.
Really?
No.
Did he
I read
comment?
a book which my mum said, don't even bother letting read it.
Really? What that book called again? The
Race Against Me.
Race Against, yeah.
So my mum said, don't even let your dad read that.
Yeah.
She goes, I've read it and now I understand.
That's a beautiful title. The Race Against Me.
But she goes, I'm not letting your dad read that.
Because we're all in a race against ourselves. We're all in a battle with ourselves. It's not with...
A fitting title.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, lo and behold, I got suspended. I was banned from the Olympic Games for life. So that never really sunk in until I got back into sport and I thought, okay, I want to get back to the Olympic Games because as far as I'm concerned, I've done this. I can fix this. But I just couldn't see how. So every opportunity I had to get back was faced with obstacles. But because I've been learned to deal with obstacles from here, I would just learn to look left, look right, can't get that way, can't get that way.
So the shame and the pain of the consequences coming didn't get you into depression?
Nah, I didn't allow myself to do that.
Wow.
I swallowed that.
Yeah.
Or I chose to bypass that by, again, being like my dad, had loads of women around me, so I never ever stayed in my house on my own.
Okay.
I couldn't. So if it wasn't women around me, I had my friends around me, and we'll step drinking 2 hours until I just fall asleep, and then today's a new day. So I don't have to think.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wanted to avoid doing, is thinking about what I just
And
done.
that's the one thing you needed to do.
And that's what I needed to do, but do it with the right people.
Yeah, and be taught how to think in
I
the
just
right
had the
way.
man them talking, and let's go booze. So that was flooding my mind.
Yes.
And not allowing me to deal with what the hell has just happened.
Yeah. And none of your friends are actually having that conversation.
They're my friends and I love them to bits.
Of course.
But
let's keep it real.
when we're 22, 23, they don't know no better.
Yeah.
So I'm never mad at them. 'Cause I would have probably been the same.
100%, bruv.
So part of me was like, why you man never saying that? But we're all in the same boat. They don't know.
They got their own stuff.
They don't know.
And that's why everyone's together doing it. And that's why it's almost like misery loves company.
They don't
Do you know what I'm saying? But a bad company wants the same. They want to keep you
They
where
didn't
they
know.
are.
So I can't be mad with them for that. So yeah, that was that. And then I chose to return in 2006.
Yeah.
I'd met my wife then during that period of time of my suspension, and we had our first child. So that gave me a focus. It kind of centered me.
Wow.
Cut out some of the hanging out with the friends and I got rid of the women, and I just focused.
Yeah.
So I came back in 2006. So just to put it in perspective, I got banned in 2003. I had a 2-year ban, suspension. So I was able to come back in 2006. So I came back to the sport. I was fortunate enough to still come back and be #1 in Britain. I ran faster than any other Brit had done since our suspension.
You got some European times.
Yeah, I ran 10:06.
60 meters times as faster than anyone.
It showed that my natural ability was good enough. But it was necessary for me to fall in order for me to realise.
I see.
And wake up.
Did your mindset change when you came back? What had you learnt when you came back that you wasn't using before?
I just gained more confidence in myself. And my wife, being the good person she is, she forced me to talk, which I didn't want to do. She forced me. Why are you doing this? Oh, I can't be bothered. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because she got it out of me. And when I got used to commenting and talking and responding, I thought, Dwayne's relaxed now. I'm relaxed. Because I wasn't able to do that before.
Wow.
So you see where the stumbling blocks are started from.
Wow, it's so important to have a good woman, man.
So when I got here and I went, it crumbled. And I thought, all right, start putting my Optimus Prime uniform back on. But this time, I was just putting it back on. I was getting a better hardware in here. My CPU was better. So I was getting upgraded by confidence and having support and having responsibility of a child. So that changed everything. So because of that, I thought, right, okay, I'm ready to come back. But I wasn't ready for the raft that was waiting for me on the track because I got booed.
Wow.
All of that came. And I wasn't expecting that. So that 2006 season, I said, nah, let me leave that. So I went and played.
So it knocked the stuffing out.
Yeah, it knocked me out. It knocked me. Because I can deal with the heat on the track, but to deal with that from your supporters,
wow.
I said, no.
What did that mean to you? How did you
It just crushed me. My heart, a piece of my heart was just falling apart.
So did it mean that the people don't love Dwayne Chambers?
It just was an odd way for me to be addressed on the track for doing something I loved. I understand that I'd caused problems. I get that.
Yeah.
This was my own doing. I get that. But to feel that is hard. That was hard. So part of the crowd's like, yeah, and then you're going to hear those boos. That was the silent voice. Boo, that hit me. So I thought, let me come back out of this. So I think I went and played American football.
Why did you come out? Because of the pain from the boos?
Yeah.
Because what was your reason for being in?
My reason for being in is because I wanted to correct it and I realised this is what I'm made to do.
So was there a part of you that wanted to win back the people unconsciously, Dwayne?
Maybe.
Because think about it.
Maybe.
Imagine, yeah, the impact that had on you made you want to come out.
Maybe.
So without you even realising that
Maybe
there was
looking for acceptance.
Yes, bro.
Because looking for acceptance.
Remember, a part of your journey's been about that.
Yeah, looking for acceptance.
Yeah, King.
But I hadn't dealt with it properly. So for me to think, oh yeah, I just had a 2-year ban, let's come back and get back on the road. No, not everyone is going to like your actions.
And people love to put the knife in when you're down,
so
and keep you down.
I think I went and played American football for a year, and that filled a void.
Yeah, I remember that.
But deep down, I'm a runner, I'm a sprinter. That's what I do. So I came back.
What was your wide receiver?
Yeah. So I came back 06, I went and played American football 07, 08,
How did it go?
I came back.
Did you enjoy the experience?
Oh, the best. But again, I'm not physical. I hated the hits.
Yeah, because the hits are hard, bruv.
I hated the hits. So
and that could have damaged.
It could have. But again, it just made me realise I'm born to run. So my conscience was always drawn back to there. So I thought, how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
But the one thing I did was kept on walking. Every time that door closed in front of me, I kept on walking.
Beautiful.
That door would stay closed, and it would stay closed, and I just found a way to either jump over it, go under it, or go around it. But I never stopped and thought, this is not going to happen. Because it happened a lot. I would just go home and cry, and just get up and go again.
Excellent.
Because another thing...
So you let that emotion out?
I had to get it out. One thing I disliked was the fact that my wife was there, supported me to the END, but I didn't want to get comfortable living out of her pocket. I said, there's no way on earth am I doing that.
That's not the standard that
I can't do it. So for the period of time, because I couldn't work, I had no education.
Yeah.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
I weren't prepared to go and work in a shop. I said, I ain't doing that. No way.
So, what was that about? Because we got massive
my
egos.
ego. And I don't know how to go into a shop and do that. I said, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it.
Because I remember I've been there, bruv. I've been injured, come out of boxing, and then I'm doing what? I've got my yard, I've got to take care of bills.
I said I ain't doing it.
Children.
Fortunately, she was able to keep the roof over her head.
Big.
But I knew me doing this running stuff is what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be no good without it.
Yeah.
So I just looked after Sky. She went to work. If I wanted money, I just wouldn't ask. I said, I ain't doing it. So it forced me to get up. So I started training again. I got myself back, came back in 2006. Just a load of rubbish. Played American football, come back in 2008. I came back. Still faced with adversity and problems. Again, my past was still chasing me.
Wow.
So there was something that was still in my DNA that was still
You wanted to
there.
rise and achieve.
So I kept on, I think 2009, I said, I don't want to do this no more. And I remember speaking to a colleague. He said, before you make that decision, go and speak to this guy. And I went to see a lawyer who had always been watching me at my career. And I went to his house. And I swear to God, he had a file on me from the table up to about this high.
Wow.
On everything I've done from the moment I was born to where I am now. And he said, Dwayne, I know more about you than you know about yourself. And if you listen to me, I'll help you through this. And between 2003 to 2009, I had agents coming out of nowhere saying, yeah, I can do this for you, that for you, and shafting me every single minute.
Wow.
Shafting me. So I thought, why are you different? He goes, A, I don't need the money. 2, I'm an avid sportsman. And 2, I think you're doing this all wrong. And something he said to me was so much different from all the other agents. All the other agents were saying, trust me, D, I got you, D. But he said, if you listen to me, I will help you through this. So the first thing he said to me goes, look at all these press articles you get. Every single one of these articles are saying, drug teeth, Dwayne Chambers, this, that. You are fueling the fire. So now the support I wish I'd had from freaking here, he's now giving it to me here. And he taught me how to deal with the media. So for when he told me to do that, my life just changed instantly. Wow. So the way I'm delivering to you now was a far cry from how I used to deliver.
There was no strategy.
There was no strategy, there was no structure.
Business mind about marketing.
I wasn't looking at what they were asking me. I just thought, why are they not letting me run? Is it unfair that you can't run? Yes, it is. Headline news, Dwayne Chambers said it's unfair. Wondering why I can't get into a competition now. So he taught me how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And when he taught me that, every single article from that point on went from being a back page spread or a middle spread to a small column. So once that fire got diffused, I was more relaxed. My household was more relaxed. I got more opportunity to compete. I then went on to become one of the best in the world again. Wow. But it's all about dealing with the problem. And that last little problem I had was dealing with the media. Because I still had that chip on my shoulder from freaking down there.
Yes.
So he taught me how to get rid of that chip. When people prompted me with certain questions, I knew how to deal with it. I had a coping mechanism now. So my hardware had been even more tuned up. So from that point on, my career just went through the roof. I became better. I was then now setting the right example for Sky and now Rocco and now my daughter to see. Because whatever they see or however they see me react, kids are going to come up and say to them, your dad this, your dad that, your did. Now, old generation would have said, bond that and whatever. Now I had to think, whatever I do, it's going to affect them. How do I change that? And my manager, who's still with me today, again, he's my true dad because he doesn't let me budge without talking to him. Whatever you want to do, Dwayne, you phone me first. Now I'm accountable to him for every action because I'm more concerned not only about his reputation, but also mine.
So it's good to be accountable to someone.
I'm accountable.
Even top people in very high positions.
So I don't want to ruin him or make him feel bad for any silly things that I choose to do. So I think twice now. I measure twice, cut once with everything I do. So when I'm thinking about, let me go to the club with the boys. Is it the right club for me? You man, let's go somewhere else. And now they're smart enough to know this ain't right for these. Let's go somewhere else. Beautiful.
So even the company that you're in has to have an understanding about looking
so
out for you as well.
Hey, I can't go there. They're like, all right, cool, let's go somewhere else. And they're cool. They get it. So everything has changed because of that.
That's
and
so
now
important.
life's better. My kids are better.
Yeah.
I talk to them in a certain way. I talk to other people's kids in a certain way. I treat other people's kids like how I treat mine. I talk to them plain.
Beautiful.
I have to. Because unfortunately, nobody has this unique position that I'm in, the ability to talk to them as openly as I do. I tell them plain.
Excellent.
Tell them plain.
Excellent, Dwayne.
But that gives me, although what I did was costly to my career, it's put me in a unique position.
Would you change anything, Dwayne?
No.
Think about that.
No.
Beautiful.
No. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to. It was necessary for me to fall. Necessary.
Because you wouldn't be who you are today.
It hurt at the time.
Yeah, of course.
But I've always said to my kids, if you do wrong, if you're going to do something and you get caught, put your hand up and deal with it. You're strong enough to deal with it. Trust me, you're strong enough to deal with it.
Yeah,
you can handle it. If they put you in jail for freaking 100 years, you will get through it. But mark this, if you do something foolish, I will call the police on you. I tell them plain. So they know. They won't protect you. But if you're sensible, you'll go a long way. But if you're going to screw up, I will call the police on you. And also, if you're going to have to admit to what you've done, put your hand up and deal with it because you are strong enough to handle it.
What I love about this platform is just the incredible stories that I'm getting and the lessons that are just available for everybody to understand that we're all the same. You decided, I want to work hard to get to this stage in my life.
Yeah.
So you done that. Everyone can decide to do that in whatever area that
of a
they're
decision.
in life.
Yep.
They decide, I want to become this, I want to do this.
That's all it is.
Nothing's separating you but information and action.
All it
Because
is.
your guy said, you're doing things wrong. That means you need more information. And that means you need to act differently based on the information.
Yep.
That changed your future.
helped
That
you
enabled you to become #1 again when you walked away from the track and thought, I can't take these boos. And you learned and understood and came back from that.
Yep.
So listen, bruv, this has been an absolutely fantastic interview with you. I really pray and hope that all the viewers are just enjoying this as much as I am, spending time going on Dwayne Chambers' life journey. Continue to support the show. We love having you on as our audience, and most of all, we love having Dwayne Chambers on. Respect to you, my man.
Pleasure.
We out.